In today's video, we're checking out a brand new tube light from the folks over at SmallRig. This is the SmallRig RT25. Let's get into it. Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. In today's video, we're checking out this brand new one light from the folks over at SmallRig. Now, this is their RT25, as I mentioned at the start. It comes in this rockin' little carry bag. It's very portable, it has a rechargeable battery, and it's capable of up to 8 hours maximum runtime if you run it on the efficiency power mode, and you'll also get up to 2 hours of runtime if you're running it on maximum. Now included, we get this rockin' little handle here. It's got some finger grooves. It's actually quite wide, but the great news is it also has a 1/4-20 threading on the bottom. If you want to run this on a tripod or a light stand, you can do so, which is fantastic. We get a USB-C cable included for charging. There's also this little lanyard sort of wrist strap if you want to use that as well. This case is actually a really great inclusion, and being that this pack is only $179, it's great that we get an all-in-one solution. So if you want to travel with this or take it out into the field, you absolutely can. Now we get a set of detachable barn doors here as well. Now these detach just from the side. There's some push buttons on either side here, and you can take these on and off if you so choose. Thanks to the barn doors, we now have some light modifiers, so we can angle the light in any particular direction if we so choose. And here's how it looks without the actual barn doors attached. As you can see, it's very reminiscent of most LED lights, very similar to the Lanzi ones I showcased on the channel a little while back and that I'm using in the background here, except this is much larger. This grip is also the rechargeable battery, which is fantastic. And on the back here, you can see that we get some LED indicators letting you know how much charge is left and when it's fully charged if you have it connected via USB-C. Another cool thing about this particular pack is if you don't want to use the grip and just keep the weight down, you can power this via USB-C. So if you've got a charger or a battery bank and you prefer to use that, you absolutely can. And this makes it very compact and small once you exclude this, as this actually weighs quite a bit. Getting all of this hooked up couldn't be more simple. All we do is attach the handle here into the bottom, turn it around, and we're in business. It's that simple. Now on the top of the unit over here, we have our on-off switch. We get a little LCD screen on the back telling us which mode we're in, and then we're in business. How cool is this? This is on RGB sweep mode right now, so it's just cycling through each of the different color modes in RGB. All right, let's take a look at the different modes built into the SmallRig light. To turn it on, simply use this switch here. It boots up nice and fast, which is awesome. And as you can see, we're currently in CCT mode. Now to cycle through the options in CCT mode, you can use this button here, and anything highlighted is what you can currently adjust by using this wheel. Now as you can see, we're at 5600 Kelvin, so your standard daylight temperature. It's what I use here in the studio. If I turn it all the way to the left here, we can go all the way down to 2600 Kelvin, which is that tungsten warmer light that you know, reminiscent of like a candle, for example. Or we can turn it all the way to the other side and get a more clinical light look, which is 10,000 Kelvin. So a nice, cool blue light, or anywhere, of course, in between, just by using this dial. If you're looking for a good starting point for a studio, set it to around 5600 and you should be good to go. If you want to adjust the output, all you need to do is go over to the intensity here and cycle this way. And it's great. You can go as fast or slow as you like. Notice the battery indicator is changing. So we get more battery life the lower we run the light, which is pretty obvious, and we get reduced battery life the brighter the light is. And as you can see from the output, it's plenty bright. It's lighting up the scene here. And as I bring it all the way down, you can go in 1% increments all the way down to 1%, or there's 0 as well, which is off. But yeah, 1% will still emit some light, which is fantastic. You can also adjust the hue in this mode. We have G and M. So as I bring it this way, you can see the light is drastically changing color here in the room. And as I turn it the other way, it's going more towards green. To change modes on the lamp, all you need to do is hit the mode button, and now we're in HSI mode, which is essentially RGB mode. Now this gives us a few different parameters. The hue is the color temperature. It's currently set to 240, which is my favorite blue color. And you can basically use the wheel in either direction to get to wherever you need. And as you can see from the wide angle, it's changing colors beautifully and nice and fast too. And we can really ramp the speed of this up and use it as fast as we like, or change it as fast as we like, which is fantastic. Now, if we go over to the middle button here, we can go to the intensity level, and this changes the brightness. So we can turn this up or down, which is cool. I'll just leave it at full blast. And the saturation level is the blend between the color we choose and just a natural light color. So as we turn this down, it's going to get less RGB looking and more CCT looking. And as we turn it the other way, it's going to be a lot more rich in its color. Over to the built-in effects, and I've set the intensity level now to 100%, so you can see exactly what's going on. And this is that classic RGB flashing. You can also change how many colors you want it to go through, as well as the speed, which is awesome. So if you want, say, a slower effect, you can turn this down. And if you want less colors, you can also adjust these parameters right here. Over to fireworks, which replicates fireworks going off in the sky, for example. So you'll see a few pulses of different colors going off intermittently, which looks really good. Over to cop car, if you're shooting a short film and you need this effect coming through a window from outside, you can absolutely use this one. Over to color flash, which is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, just flashing colors nice and fast. Here again, you can change all of the different parameters. Over to SOS, so we get that classic 3 short blinks, 3 long blinks, SOS Morse code pattern. Over to paparazzi, which is to replicate camera flashes. Does this really convincingly. Over to lightning, which is one of my personal favorite effects for shooting short films. I love this effect, and it works really well in the right scenario. So yeah, great for shooting short films. Faulty bulb, another good one if you're doing any type of creepy movie where you need the light bulbs to fail on you intermittently. It's a great look. TV, to replicate a TV being on in the room or away from the actual scene, so you can hit this up against a wall and have a look like a television's on in the room. Breath, which is basically just a pulse of CCT colors. We got CCT flash, so it's the CCT colors, regular temperatures. You can adjust the color temperature as well, and this is what it looks like. Over to flame, which gives us an open fire look. It's a nice warm color temperature. Again, you can make full adjustments to this if you want to change the color temperature. This next one's called blast, and this is to replicate an explosion going off. There it goes. It's very intermittent, this one, but you can change the speed if you need to. Welding is another good one, and this looks really legit in the room. It's got that nice warm color temperature. I did have to change the color temperature on this to make it look the way that it does. By default, it's set a little bit to daylight temperature, but you can make full customizations, as I keep saying, so this is great. Over to one called cycle, which is cycling through what appears to be the CCT temperature. There's not a whole lot of information on this one, but as you can see, it's doing a good job. Over to color cycle, this is another good one if you just want to create some atmosphere without the light blinking. It just basically smoothly cycles through the color spectrum here. And again, you can change the speed, intensity level, and change it if you don't want it to loop. This is also another cool feature I haven't showcased yet. So you can have it stop after it cycles through all of them, or you can continually have it run. CCT cycle is it ramping all the way through the color spectrum in CCT mode. So from 2500 Kelvin all the way up to 10,000 Kelvin on the cool side. Let's take a look at gel mode. Now, gel mode is very similar to CCT mode, but it's meant to replicate gels that were used on lights here. And you have full control over this as well. What I'm going to do is just show you the different modes using this mod or light modifier mode here. So as I turn this, you're going to see the color temperature basically instantly change as I cycle through these options. There's only 3 options here, so it's probably not as versatile on this mode as just using regular CCT mode, but it's a lot quicker to find a particular look if you like one of these 3. Just to let you know, the RT25 doesn't have Bluetooth or phone connectivity, so if you're used to using a light where you have full control over the RGB or HSI spectrum when it comes to selecting a color, this doesn't have that. You've just basically limited to these options here. Now let's do some practical tests. So I've got the light set up and it's currently off. I'm using my cold ball light right at the back of the studio here. It's this little remote control thing. I can simply just turn it on and off like this. It's very handy. I love having a tangible remote control. It's always a good thing. So as you can see, there's a huge difference with this light on or off. Now, let's turn it off and replace it with the SmallRig. And now you're looking at the SmallRig light on in place of the cold bore. And this is set to the same exact color temperature. It is quite a bit closer. It's just out of shot right here on my main camera. And it's working great. I could easily use this, whether I've got one at the front or at the side as a fill or hair light. This will definitely do the job. Up next, I'm going to set this to 240 degrees in RGB mode to replicate the light that's behind me on the wall. And we'll take a look at how this works in this particular setup. And now you're looking at the SmallRig light behind me in exactly the same shot. And this looks really great, at least to my eye. I can see in my reference monitor just how vibrant the shot looks. This is running at only 15% brightness, with the saturation set to 100%. What we're going to do now is just turn off the studio lights, or almost all of them, and we're going to see what this can do in a much darker situation. I've got a couple of my fill lights on behind me, and obviously the blue RGB. and this is the same colored blue. Let's take a look at this in the studio. This is exactly the same setting that I had it before. All of my overhead lights are now off, and this is how this looks in a relatively dark room. I think this looks pretty impressive. Let's change it up. Now we're over to color cycle at 20% brightness. Now, if I was to look at this, it's very bright. It actually will affect your eyesight slightly, so just keep that in mind. The barn doors here can also be used to angle this wherever we like. If I throw it onto the background here, you can see it blending in with the blue light behind me. I think this is doing a really great job, but yeah, it's definitely bright enough to use in a studio. No questions about it. Again, this is only on 20%. For those who don't know the channel, I'm a huge horror fan. I actually have a few Lucio Fulci zombie masks here in the studio, so I'm going to grab one and see what kind of effect we can get. Oh, this is awesome. I haven't worn this since we shot our short film with it, but yeah, very cool. Check that out. That's the faulty bulb. Imagine seeing that in the dark. Awesome. That might be the thumbnail right there. Woo. All right, let's wrap this video up. I'm going to give you my final thoughts on the SmallRig RT25. We're going to talk about build quality to begin with. So the top section, the main section of this lamp is awesome. I have no problems with its build quality. We get a nice metal construction. The barn doors feel very secure. They're not going to rattle or do anything to ruin your audio, especially if you take it out into the field. So that's always a good thing. And just having a set of barn doors is great. If you don't need them, you can take them off, which is awesome. We get mount points on the top and bottom and also on the back, so you can orient this in any particular way that you like if you're not just using it in this particular fashion right now on a typical light stand. Battery life wise, this has worked great. I've charged it up once, I've lost 1 bar, and I've been using it over the course of the last couple of days to shoot this video. It's all done over a few days. It's the magic of YouTube, but I've had no problems with the battery longevity. As you reduce the output of the light in terms of brightness, you increase the battery life and vice versa, so you can find a setting that works best for your particular situation. I also like the fact if you've got a USB charger or a portable battery bank or whatever the case may be, you can power it without the actual handle. My only other small critique about the handle is the finger grips. I don't really like the feel of it personally. The part itself is built well. It's like a hardened plastic, and I have no complaints there when it comes to the build quality. It's just that the finger grips are... It would have been better without it. Just make it recessed and that would have been awesome. Unless you really need the Bluetooth connectivity, I think this is a really great light, especially for doing portable stuff, for jazzing up your YouTube studio or whatever the case may be. You can make this work, or if you have a house party, you can leave it on like this in the background. I think it looks pretty cool. Let us know what you think. Thanks again for watching. If you want to check this out, I'll link it down below. Catch you soon. See ya.